Hello, everyone. Yoop. Hi. Oh, I'm tuning in from my bedroom. I had to do immunotherapy this morning, and my arms are swollen, because of it. So I was like, I think I'm just gonna park myself comfortably, on my bed just to let my body rest a little bit while the antihistamine medication tries to kick in, the anti-allergy. Because yeah, because it's like they got like swollen, and it's really itchy and burning, and um yeah, it's very uncomfortable, and it's like both my upper arms. So I was like, oh no. So I was like, I'm just gonna chill. I'm gonna chill. So hence why I why I'm here. Um, but yes, hi everyone. And thanks so much for hopping on. Yeah. Thank yeah, Brenda. Yeah, no, I was like, all right, I'm still gonna hop on. So, um, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I was expecting to have some itchiness because they're starting to up my dosages, and so, um, I was expecting to have some itchiness, but it's like very, very itchy, and it's basically it starts to like swell around the injection sites because I have to get two in each arm every week. And so it's like different days. It's whenever they have openings, and so it just happened to be on a Monday this week, and so I went earlier. Um, and yeah, and so it's very I've been putting the hydrocortisone cream on it, and then it'll like be okay for a few minutes, and then I'll find myself like wanting to scratch or wanting to put more cream on it. So um yeah, they're upping my dosages. So let's see. Um Something cute that when we were coming back and I saw that I got an Amazon package, and I actually ordered these. I was hoping they would come yesterday because I wanted to add like a little hook thing to them. So basically like with these earrings, this little thing, like this little part here, I have a bunch of loose ones because I used to make like a lot of earrings, and I found these on Amazon that they are for is it doll houses? And I saw it and I said, "Oh my God, I need to make these into earrings." And so I ordered two of them. Um and they're not heavy. So they are not heavy at all. This is twine. So this looks like it's like a painted twine. And these do look like clay, but then the rest is all wire. So it's really, really light. Um, so I want to add little hooks to them and have them as a pair of really cool earrings. Because I thought they were super, super cute. And I was like, all right. I wasn't sure what plant. I mean, it looks like it was probably maybe trying to be like maybe a peperomia, maybe some type of like Scindapsus or something. The flowers here are these. I don't know if they're supposed to be flowers or vines. They make no sense unless it's supposed to be tendrils. I'm not sure, but I thought these were really adorable. And so yeah, so I'm gonna make these into earrings, and I'll pop those on next next week. Um, Suzanne, have you tried a cold pack? Yes, they told me actually when I was leaving the doctor's office. They told me to put in ice pack. So I have some ice packs that are like the reusable ones. So I have them in the freezer so that they can freeze, so that I can put them on. Because um yeah, it's like it feels like they're giant mosquito bites almost, but like really uncomfortable. So And oh, and another thing, on Saturday we went to go pick up, we needed to re-up on parrot food and crickets and what else? And oh, and fish food. And so we actually um saw that now the pet shop that we started going to, they opened like I think about a year ago now. So they're fairly new. The pet shop we used to go to had closed. And so they started offering some really cool things. And so they started carrying things like isopods and springtails. And so Brian and I would have conversations with the owner. We're like, oh my gosh, like we like springtails and we have, our own isopods and we have our own springtail cultures. And so he was like, you guys aren't the only ones in the area that are interested in this. Oh, that's silly. You guys aren't the only ones interested. So he started ordering them, and so he started carrying different ones. And so on Saturday, I picked up a new colony of springtails, but I have the white springtails. And so these are pink springtails. But I mean, it's really not like a bright hot pink by any means. It's like you really have to look at them, and it's kind of like a peach. I would say it's like an off-white. Really not. But there you go, just to see what they look like there. And so these look a little bit bigger than the ones that I have. Um, I'm not sure if it's just because I have to look at them side by side, but I feel like these look a little bit bigger than mine, like the adults. So I don't know, but I'm gonna be working with I'm gonna break up this culture and make like two or three subcultures and then see if I can get them going. I'm definitely gonna put them immediately into some of the terrariums that I have. And I actually have a terrarium next to my here on my nightstand. Let me see. Can I do this with one hand? I think I can. Yeah, here we go. So I have this little terrarium here. I have this little terrarium here, and this actually has a really cool culture of they're called Suriname they're called Suriname roaches. Um, they are super small, and they're a really cool species because they're actually um, right now you can really only find females of this species. And so yeah, they put it was a specifically a one female. The colony was started with one female. So it's similar to house geckos in that they only need a female to reproduce. So they reproduce. So with the reptiles, it's called parthenogenesis. I'm not sure if it's the same name for when insects do it. I'm not sure. But it's basically it's comes down to the same process. So the female essentially is able to produce clones of herself. And so the seller actually he found one while he was in Orlando, Florida. It's not supposed to be in Orlando, Florida. It's definitely an introduced species. But he spotted one and he brought it home with him. He actually took it. That was a funny story. He took it with him to Disney, so he always carries vials with him in case he sees like a cool insect. And he saw it and he was literally about to walk into Disney and he collected her and proceeded to go to Disney. So he had a full day at a Disney park with a little vial with a Suriname roach in it. And then he got home, he set it up, and she started giving birth. And that's how he actually started his entire colony. And so he was selling them. And so my colony has like about 11 or 12 in there. And so yeah, so they're settling in. It's a super it really is a super cool insect, and they're very small, but they're this really pretty iridescent color. They look like they're metal. It's a really you know, think of it like a rainforest beetle. I know that the word roach, right? Folks go, "Oh my God," but it's definitely not. It doesn't look like something you would find in your house. And yeah, and they're tropical species, so you don't have to worry about it as like a pest species or anything like that. But not that, we're very careful with escapes. So that's not a problem. But I really like them, and they're great for I'm hoping to like build up the colony, and then I'll actually introduce them to my bioactive terrariums with plants and stuff. That's my hope, because they make a really good cleanup crew. And so then they basically eat any decaying matter that's in the tanks. Like if a leaf falls off, they'll eat it. And they basically clean. They kind of recycle and clean everything, and so you don't have to worry about it. So definitely want to do that. I am looking forward to making more bioactive tanks. I really want to make a desert one. I think that's going to be really fun. So I want to make one with some species like with agaves, and I'm thinking agaves, euphorbias, um, and I don't want it to hurt the if I put like an animal in there, so I won't use anything that's too sharp that has really sharp needles. I don't want anything to get impaled. So I'm thinking some really cool species of euphorbia, um, some really cool maybe if I can find that Euphorbia platyclada again, the what's called a dead stick plant. I'd like to see if I can find one of those. And yeah, and some really cool agaves. I have this tiny little variegated agave, but there's some really, really cool species. I think there's the one, I think it's called the Victoria, that I'd really like to set up. It has like a really cool white edge. Let me see if I can actually pull that up. I think it's agave. I think it's called Victoria. Agave. I don't think it's Queen Victoria. I think it's Victoria. There we go. Victoria Reginae, well, I guess it would be Reginae technically. Oh, it is called the Queen Victoria as a common name. Let me share my screen just so that you see what in the world plants am I talking about. Um, here we go. There we go. I love this agave. Um, so there we go. The scientific name, Victoriae, Victoriae, Victoriae. Yeah. So usually the AE at the end, it sounds like an E. So I'm not sure. Uh, yeah, Victoriae, and Regini. Um, but they get quite beautiful. And what I love is it gives the agave, it almost makes it look crystalline, right? Like it looks almost like it's like etched in stone. I really like this kind of look. And you can buy them pretty small, from what I've seen here. I've seen in shops that they usually get them like really small, like 2, 3 inch pots at the most. So they don't exactly have this look to them just yet. They basically look like this. Um, Here we go. So they kind of look like that. And that's how we're able to actually buy them around here from what I've seen. I haven't seen one that's like a bigger cluster like that. I'd love to get something like that, but it looks like it's painted on. It doesn't look. It's just it's such a cool type of markings. Uh, Very cool marking. It looks like almost like etched. or painted. It really gives it a kind of otherworldly look that I really like. So yeah, I think I want to set up like a tank with maybe some of these, maybe do kind of like a sand, like a gravel and sand with maybe some different types of euphorbias in there, really, and make it like an actual tank that not only sustains the plant. Um, I'm thinking I might want to experiment with creating kind of like a if I want to have like an irrigation system, like putting in a tube that would then bottom water, and then I wouldn't have to worry about them for weeks at a time. I'm thinking of some setting something up like that. Um, but yeah, creating a more like naturalistic terrarium and then having something like maybe some types of beetles, like a darkling beetles or something like that. I have a blue death veining beetle that I really love. And right now I want to put it into a bigger tank like that. So I have it in a smaller tank with sand and some fake plants right now because I don't want to put anything in there that could potentially harm it. But I would love to actually set it up with some and really with like the colors. So the blue death fading beetle, um, just for folks if it's a very pretty shade of blue for folks that might be interested. Like you could do some really cool things and get some insects that are harmless. They won't hurt you. And you can build like these whole um terrariums, bioactive enclosures, and really kind of bring love for animals and love for plants together. So I think that's kind of where I've been really going these last couple years is, of course I love houseplants, but I also love animals. And so kind of starting to bring them more together via like bioactive terrariums and things like that. I think that's for me, it's like more of the ultimate ultimate goal. And I saw, oh my gosh, was like on Friday or Saturday, it came up like on Facebook, someone who had this crazy, crazy terrarium set up and they had one of their geckos in there. And I would love to do something like that. Um, so like jungle forest terrarium, but like on a huge size, I mean. Large, I think it's palidar. Oh, there we go. Palidarium. See, I would love to do something like that. Um, right now, I think our biggest bioactive tank is 18 by 24. Um, it's still pretty small, it's like I guess 2 feet, 2 feet by a little over a foot. Um, So it's not it's small and we have our gecko in there. But I would love to do something like that where it's just ginormous. Of course, it's not something I can do in this apartment, but it's something I would love to do. For folks that are interested in this kind of thing, I'll turn away from this just in case folks if these kind of critters give folks the heebie-jeebies. But is this amazing YouTuber called Ants Canada. I want to say it's Ants Canada. And he just put out he's starting this series because he created this giant um paludarium basically. Here we go. And he's making it a really cool dramatic series and he specializes in ants. And so he created this giant tank. They actually put in a real tree stump inside of it. And then he introduced different species of ants that he actually wanted to basically, take over and colonize the tank. And what he didn't know is when they moved the stump in, which he calls, I think, the Hallelujah stump, um, it actually had ants already living in it, which are native. He's in the Philippines, which he didn't expect. that they weren't meant to be in his ecosystem. And so now he does this really amazing footage of, because ants will go to war. They will fight over territory, fight over resources. And so he does some amazing cinematography here, but he's really telling a story. And so he talks about like the war breaking out, and it's amazing. If you like to go on YouTube and watch that kind of content, it's this is this giant tank that he has, and it's called Ants Canada is his channel. I highly recommend watching the series. Like, you can absolutely binge it. Now, forewarning, if you are scared of like ants or spiders or things like that, he is, actively talking about ants, and adding a bunch of different types of insects and invertebrates into this giant ecosystem that he created. So just trigger warning there in case you're like, oh no, I don't like all those types of bugs. So yeah, you might not want to check it out, but if you do, I highly recommend it. Absolutely top-notch content. So definitely, that this is something I strive to do one day. Maybe not with ants, but definitely like with different types of beetles, things like that. I really have a soft spot for like beetles and isopods, and I think I would love to do that type of thing. Um, one day with a big enough tank, and you also have to keep in mind that a lot of these species, they can predate on one another. Um, and so you also have to be very careful about what species you mix. Um, yeah. So very cool channel. Definitely check check that out. Um, yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. Brenda says, yeah, it would look so, yeah, it would be so cool if you started to put one together on a Monday call. Yeah, I mean, I have another one that's right now, I have another terrarium that is currently sitting as a storage kind of container right now, and that one is 36 inches, so it's 3 feet. I think it's 36 by 36, maybe by 24. So it's slightly bigger than the one I currently have. Um, I want to do something with it. It's just kind of been sitting there for a while. And so yeah, maybe that would be cool. Be a good excuse to start working on it. Yeah, thank you, Brenda, because that would be cool. And then I can do that. Suzanne says you need to buy a duplex so you can live in one half and your wildlife in the other half. Yes, yes. That would be very cool. Um, yeah, I mean, I definitely, I want to, yeah, just have something cool. I always told Brian, I really see myself having like I don't know, a tea shop slash educational facility. So I would love, to introduce folks to different types of teas, but then also sell plants. So it would be like a plant shop, tea shop, and educational center. So people can come and have some tea, and enjoy that while they're perusing and purchasing plants. But then, there could be like a section for books, and people can, either purchase books or sit and read and learn, and then we can offer classes. I think that would be the ultimate thing. Um, that would be very cool. I would love something like that, because then it kind of, brings together kind of everything that I would enjoy doing. Um, and so I think, yeah, I think something like that. And then I would have, tanks and stuff like that for folks to also check out, kind of like zoo, a little zoo where people could look at these tanks and yeah, enjoy that. Um, Oh, Adeline, let's see. I just picked up a seed package for angel wings, butterfly orchid. It's suggested to have as a house plant as it cannot withstand cold winds or wet cold weather. What do you know about these plants' care of soil? Ooh, I am not familiar with this orchid, butterfly orchid. I'm gonna look this up. Now, if it is an orchid, um, it depends because there are some terrestrial orchids, but usually the ones that, folks are selling online um tend to be these what's it called? Ones that, you could germinate at home and oh, but here we go. Butterfly flower. Oh, these are interesting. These actually look terrestrial. So hold on. Let me Yeah, I love when you folks introduce me to new flowers too, because I'm not familiar with this one. Butterfly flower. Okay, so it looks like it's not. What does it say? Poor poor man's orchid. Okay, so I get it. So the orchid is a common name. All right, I feel like I've seen this one before. This looks very familiar to me.
Well,
Um,
if you go up a
uh-huh,
little piece again,
uh-huh.
there's this one with white and pink, and that's the one that it looks exactly like that on the package.
This one with the white and the pink?
No, 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 over way on the left-hand side of the screen at the bottom of your screen.
Oh, okay. Um,
Oh, yeah, yeah, at the very bottom, it has white, pink, almost like a red.
mm-hmm.
That's the one what the package looks like. And it
Okay.
says 100 seeds of angel wings.
Interesting.
That's what the package looks like.
Okay. And let me see what family are these in? Let's see. Oh, it's in the nightshade family. What? That's cool. I would not I would not expect that. The flowers look so, huh. Apparently it's in the nightshade family. So for those that don't know, the nightshade family is the potato, tomato, eggplant, um, peppers like bell peppers, jalapeno peppers. That's all nightshade. Uh, that's so interesting. I did not know this. Um, these are very, very cool. All right. And so yeah, Solanaceae. I mean, with Solanaceae plants, definitely um well draining mix, but let me see. So cool. Yeah, a well draining mix, but especially when they're starting out. I mean, you could start them out with like a more like a peat type of mix. Um, so they do appreciate like especially like compost stuff like that very much so. Um, but no, this specific one though, this is a plant that I'm not familiar with. So apparently, all right, so Chile and Argentina. Okay, so South America. That's beautiful. Um, and it says it's a cool weather annual. There we go. Well drained, average soil. Okay. I mean, as long as, are you going to be planting these outside, or are you going to be, or you're saying that it says to treat it like a house plant?
Well, I was going to start it inside, and if it could go outside, maybe even up against the east wall on my deck, I was thinking it would have some protection, but I was just kind of concerned because it seemed that it can't really take cold or wet weather. And so it can't be like right out in the middle of your yard someplace. And you
Yeah.
definitely would have to bring it in before the cold weather starts.
Yes. Oh no, absolutely. And that's what it looks like. Are you all right, Billy? He's just going. Are you all right there? He's just bouncing around the cage. Um, yeah. So I mean, I would say yeah, definitely you can start them. And I think technically you are able to kind of start them now. A lot of folks are starting their seeds now. Um, and yeah, maybe considering using like the long kind of flower pots, and so you can kind of bring it in and out. So that's super cool. I don't know that much about this plant specifically, um, but that is super cool. That is super super cool. Wow. But I think yes, if you offering it somewhere where it has that protection, it gets like right on the side of the house, get them some of that shade. Um, and it would also help protect it against like wind and things like that. Um, but in terms of, you said that it doesn't like wet, like a wet condition.
Yeah, that's what the package says. It can't take cool or wet, and the wind is, I guess it if it grows quite tall, and the wind is going to blow it around, it could end up damaging it or breaking right off. That's
Yeah,
what I'm thinking is what they're meaning.
yeah. It's like not built to sustain that type of
Yeah, it
um
has to be someplace where it's protected.
so loam and silt. Right. Maybe like a finer, yeah, like a sandy, okay, occasionally
And the
dry.
package says it prefers partial shade. So probably up against the house would probably be good.
Yeah, that is so cool. Um, yeah, orchid-like blooms. There we go.
So if you had orchid type soil, what would you add to it?
Well, it's not a true orchid, and so if you did have an actual orchid, again, it depends on the species. So there are terrestrial orchids, and then there are the like the more epiphytic orchids. Those that live in the trees, those you're gonna need a very well draining mix. Probably not soil at all, actually. So it tends to be either like a orchid bark, um, something like a leca. Some folks will keep like an orchid like that in like leca, or even just in sphagnum moss, things like that. So usually you want to go soilless with a lot of those epiphytic um, orchids, because they don't want to stay wet or have all that moisture around their roots, because
Yeah,
they're usually getting a lot of oxygen. They need that higher rate of gas exchange, basically. But this one, and then depending on the species for an actual orchid, then there are terrestrial orchids. Um, I mean, as long as it's like a well draining um, type of soil, and that doesn't necessarily that it dries relatively well, but um, has like a little bit, I hate having to use peat, but a little bit of peat in there, but not enough where if it dries it gets that, like cement almost. Definitely not. Um, but
and
in
the only
terms of,
thing
uh-huh.
I was going to say, the only thing they mention about soil is moist, well drained, sandy, loamy. It can be acidic or it could be neutral.
Okay. I mean, I would say a pretty like general well draining potting mix would probably work. You could probably get a general potting mix and then add in some perlites. That would definitely help with the drainage. Um, so I mean, that might work because then it'll be, yeah, it'll still be well draining. But I think a regular kind of good quality potting soil. Now, I'm trying to think if they come, I mean, there's so many different types of like pre-made mixes, but I can't think of one that has the, because I like to use, for instance, for a lot of like I mean, now I mix my own soils like from scratch. So I get like the components and then I mix them up. But for a lot of like my succulents, and even my aeroids, what I originally would do was buy succulent soil and then add my aggregate to it. So I would kind of buy this, but it wouldn't have everything I wanted, but it had enough. So I would just buy that and then supplement what I needed to do. But I think if getting like a good quality potting mix and then mixing in the perlite might just be good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I do the same thing. I like to mix my own, but I just want to make sure what special care and soil because they don't really tell you a whole lot.
they really don't. I really recommend, there are some amazing like sites like these where they break it down, but I know, yes, the North Carolina has an extension, but also I think Kentucky has a really great extension as well. And I'm trying to remember which other, um, is it?
But since I live in cold, cold Saskatchewan winters in Canada, I don't think looking something up from
Oh, yes,
a warmer
no.
state does me much good.
Yes, no, I meant because yeah, so they're just made by their colleges, and so
Oh, okay.
yeah, no, they're more like reference guides, like so like for instance for this one from North Carolina, and so they do have some information, but it's kind of very minimal. But there are some of these that I think Cornell also has that ex extension. But if yes, if you find one more local, it probably will focus more so on yeah, species that might be available for sale in your area. Uh, but no, a lot of these, yeah, they will tell you what zones and what areas the plants will grow, and it goes well beyond their state, so no worry.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just really, really helpful. Um, there's I know that, let me see. Um, so in the member hub that I created for um, Herbalists Without Borders, we have a gardening section, and I know I put some. Let me see. Oh, here we go. See here. There we go. So in the garden planning, there is some. Here we go. Um, Permaculture Global. Gardenia, there we go. And oh, Colorado State. There we go. Um, so I'll put this in the chat. So this one's really cool because it also helps you identify plants in your area that would work. So if you were specifically looking for your zone, let's say your yard gets a lot of sun, you don't have a lot of time to maintain it, so you want something low maintenance. And how big do you want the plant to get? So it works both ways. So you can either search plants that you already have and how to care for them, but then it also does if you're looking for plants, given your conditions, it's a super, super cool tool. So I'll drop that in there. Oh, Suzanne. Yes, I do. That would be a great sign. Beware, yes, house protected by wildlife by and then have a killer house plant um as well. Let me see. They have so I'm dropping this one. I think this is a really great resource for folks to check out. Also in all of these, honestly. Um, I'll share this one as well. Soil grids. That one's really great. This one's really good. I mean, they're all really good, but especially these. Here, I'm dropping those in the chat. So definitely check this out. Um, so I had put this together. Eventually, I'd like to do something like this for Urban Garden. Um, but yeah, so for members that have access to our member hub here for HWB, then there's this little section called garden planning. So you can see here where there's like ebooks, there's like different plans for different types of gardens. There's even like examples of like garden themes that you might want to explore, um, like even like books on garden design, and then of course stuff on like seed saving, seed banking. Um, Soil calculator is a really cool tool too. I'll put that in there. Um, because that actually tells you like how much soil you need, so especially if you're making like raised beds and things like that. It's a really, really cool tool. So take advantage of that. But yeah, so I had like put together some information here. I'm trying to see if will it let me. Oh, for some reason the link isn't working. So that's something I have to fix. But here we go. So I think it's here. There we go. So here. Yes, Suzanne, you can use a fly trap. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I hope those resources are helpful. So I'm throwing them in there. Um, because yeah, definitely check those out if yeah, if you just kind of want to there's some really amazing free tools out there. So, you know, grab them. There are even some that it will even offer like free ebooks and things like that. So I always try to take advantage of those. If I see those pop up, I immediately grab those and download them because sometimes they're only available for like limited time. And I know the University of Kentucky, it was like the Kentucky, I think it's Kentucky Gardening. Whoops, Kentucky Gardening Extension. They were offering some like books. Yeah, see, and I don't even know if they're offering them anymore because they were, and it was super cool to see. It's in here. Yeah, see, I don't even think that they might have them up anymore. I can try to see. I think I have the two books that I got from them. And so I'll try to find them and then I can post them up like on the Facebook or something, make links to them so it's easier to find. Oh, Diana, I'm growing a pineapple plant. What type of soil is best for further growth? Also, what are their leaves called? Are they stems or leaves? Oh, great question. And so yeah, so pineapple, they're in the bromeliad family. So they are in that group of plants that, also are um that you find like air plants in. But the pineapples will grow, of course, terrestrially. Um and so a really well-grounded mix, sorry, well-draining mix, well-draining mix. Something with I would say kind of like a mix between like a epiphytic cacti and an orchid. So I would probably go with a mix that has orchid bark in it with a really well draining kind of succulent soil, um, just so that a lot of water isn't hanging out by the roots, but it still offers great anchorage, um, and gets moisture to those roots. It just doesn't sit there. Um, and I would probably recommend like a terracotta, just so that there's a lot more gas exchange happening, rather than like a ceramic or like a glazed pot that would probably retain a little too much water. Um, yeah, and in terms of the leaves, so from my understanding, they are considered true leaves. Um, So I mean, when they put out their flower, the flower is what eventually turns into the fruit. What's really neat is that it's the leaves, and then the it puts out the flower, turns into the fruit, and it starts growing the little spike back on it on the top of the fruit, and then that in turn you can cut off and start the cycle all over again. Uh,
Mhm.
so I really like that. Uh, Even just with like air plants in general. So a lot of them, it's very cyclic. So some of them, for instance, like a lot of tillandsia, they're monocarpic. So once they flower, they start dying, and then they put out a pup. So like, let me see if I can air plant pup, just so that you can see what I'm talking about in terms of pups for. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
So these are super cool, and then they'll put out pups. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's more than one. And the mother plant starts to die, the pups continue to grow, and then it's the same cycle all over again. And so then the pups grow, then eventually they'll flower, and it keeps going, keeps going. And so sometimes some of these tillandsia will grow in clusters. So if you've ever seen ball moss, so some of them are kind of like, you can see how they kind of are a little bit separate. They'll Because the mother plant will like die off, and eventually basically, it's nothing anymore. It just kind of breaks off. But some tillandsia will grow in these clusters, and so they'll put these kind of like pups will continue to grow, and literally create a ball. So
Hmm.
here, yes, they call it ball moss, but it's not a real moss. That's just a common name. Uh, but yeah, it'll end up growing like that. I've seen it on power lines. Um, it,
Wow. Yeah, all over. Yeah.
yeah. So they're super super cool. In terms of the pineapple though, so it's the same family as the tillandsia. Um, but yeah, they grow. It's a very very different. Um, yeah, here we go. That's a cool shot here. But yeah, so you can see it's just that it has that fruit, and then the plant itself starts producing basically another growth point right on top, where you could, after
Mhm.
you consume the fruit, just restart the whole process over again.
Okay. What's the root system like? Do they have strong roots or long roots?
From my recollection, I've never grown pineapples here. Um, but from my recollection, I mean, it's not like a crazy deep root system, if from what I
Mhm.
recall. But I mean, they anchor pretty well. So I mean, They're relatively shallow from my recollection.
Okay,
I don't think they have like a really big tap root or something.
okay,
I might be mistaken, but I don't think that they do. I think it's like very um kind of like a very shallow but still a good hold. Um
okay,
yeah. So, but yeah, as long as it's really well draining, you just don't want to put them in anything where it's going to hold a lot of water and it's like they're sitting in mud. Um, so you want
okay.
something that has, even if you already have a mix, even just adding something like perlite in there, maybe a little bit of like wood bark also holds on to moisture, which can be good, but it also helps to break up the soil too, so it's not
Mhm.
like very compacted. Because that's a big issue. What's happening when so that folks also know when you're overwatering a plant, for instance, or you're not necessarily overwatering, but maybe your substrate is just retaining the water way too long. What's actually happening, it's not that the plant is just sitting in water. It's not necessarily that that's causing the problem, but rather um, it's depriving the plant's roots of oxygen. So that's what's actively happening. And so by the water kind of sitting there, if it's like a very muddy type of substrate, it basically keeps oxygen from getting to the roots, and then the roots start to die. Um, and then they start to, and you know, you have bacteria and things inside of the soil, and then this starts to cause the root rot, and then you see your plant kind of becoming mush. Um,
Okay.
and so it really comes down to it's more like an oxygen deprivation. Um, you know, it's not always like, oh, it's too much water, but yeah, so definitely well draining. You want to get something well draining. Um,
Okay,
and I would say try like a terracotta too, because that
okay,
wicks water away from the substrate, and then as the substrate starts to dry, it kind of puts it back into the substrate. Um, and it's just it kind of keeps everything in a much drier state versus kind of in a like a muddy state that you know, if you have nursery pots, if you're like really vigilant about it, then it's perfectly fine. But if you're, you know, just kind of starting out, I would say try a terracotta, because I would rather it be a little too dry
mm, mhm.
than
Yeah.
maintaining a little too much moisture. Yeah.
Okay, so Jocelyn, after you cut the fruit off when it's ready, does that plant continue to sprout more stems for new fruit,
I
or is
don't
it going to die?
I think that the plant that can survive, but I don't think it puts out more fruit.
Okay,
So I don't think that it would put out another fruit. I think it's a one fruit. Yeah, I think but I don't know if it necessarily dies. So I think it won't produce another fruit, but I think that they can still live.
the leaves
Um
from it.
the
Okay,
leaves. But yeah, no, I've never grown them myself, so I've only seen like from other folks growing them.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it will still survive. It just wouldn't ever flower or put another fruit out again.
Okay,
I think it's like a one and done.
okay,
I think so.
okay. Good to know. Yeah. So well, hopefully it'll bear fruit. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I'm
So
hoping. Yeah,
it's growing well where it is right now, but I have to transplant it soon and get it out of that trough. So I'll, look for a proper terracotta. That's a good idea. Yeah.
yeah,
Thanks,
try
Jocelyn.
that.
Great.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Yeah, and I've seen a lot of ornamental pineapples too. Let me see here. That yeah,
Oh, wow.
these are super cool.
Wow.
Just like yeah, it's like a I've seen like them in like a pink and like red. Uh,
Oh, wow. Never
super
seen that.
cool.
Looks like an airplane almost in that picture.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really has a super cool. Here we go. That is so
Oh,
beautiful.
wow. That's nice. Yeah.
They just
Look how
apparently
big the
don't
crowns
grow.
are.
very, very large. Yeah. But apparently
Mhm.
the fruit, yeah, they'll like saying like tiny fruit. So they don't get as large as, a pineapple, let's say we'd get at the supermarket.
Mhm.
But they just that the color is so striking. Oh man.
Nice.
Oh, here we go. Barbara says, oh, so I guess you got a previous one from Home Depot. It had one fruit, and a nice baby plant, but then the baby plant, is, only greens now. Okay. All right. All right. Oh, here you go.
Yes, it was very hi. It was very
Hi.
exciting.
Uh-huh.
Hi, it was very exciting, and then it only made the fruit that and the bit, the bigger piece that the mother piece that came with. I was very excited for the baby shoot, but it grew green, but it never made a fruiting plant. But very fun, very very fun. Of
Yeah.
course.
Thanks. I'm trying to think if, because I know with certain bromeliads, they have to be a certain age almost, right? They have to reach a certain level of maturity before they can start flowering. And I'm wondering if it's the same with pineapple. I don't know. I don't know enough about them. Um, but yeah, I do think it's a one and done. I do think that. Um, and I do think that they might still survive even once you've cut the fruit back. I think that you can keep it. It's just, yeah, it's never going to produce another. You'll just basically have the plant. Um, yeah, and in terms of, gosh, with the, I mean, you can see like they'll have large scale plantations, but I think we would have to meet those conditions in terms of, probably longer light days. So maybe, supplemental lighting, maybe, yeah, upping like temperature and humidity. So you probably have to really try to mimic, those types of kind of like environmental stimuli to kind of probably trigger it to flower, and then, to eventually, put out a fruit. Um, yeah, and I'm not sure if they have perfect flowers, or would you have to cross-pollinate them? I'm gonna end up going down a pineapple rabbit hole, because now, like, all these questions start to come up. And I'm like, okay, well then how would they do this? So yeah, so, yeah, that'd be cool actually. So I think I'll let myself go down a pineapple rabbit hole. Because I think I've done a class previously on air plants, but I don't think I've done one just on bromeliads. So that would be good. To kind of, because then that's great for me to learn too, and maybe a good excuse for me to go get a pineapple and and try my hand at that too. Because hey, I could probably be able to mimic the, that environment if I were to put it into one of the tanks. I think that if since it's a more controlled environment, um, so we really want it set up. Maybe that'll be good for like the big tank I want to kind of give a whole redo to. Um, I want to get like a misting system, and so where you can set it up with the timer, and so then it just sprays like a mist, and it's for species that need really high humidity and tend to live in a very, wet type of environment. So, um, yeah, and I'd love to. I have moss that I bought. Um, right now, it's living in, Ziploc bags in my kitchen, by the window. But I want to set it up in like plastic containers, and so, I'm gonna be setting those up, and I want to expand on that. So I want to see if I can, build some terrariums out with actual live moss in them, and they're kind of a longer moss. We actually have moss growing on our stoop, and it's a very like, very short, very beautifully green, very fuzzy moss. And I've been telling Brian I really want to go out there with like a flathead screwdriver and just pull up a bunch and start a tray, um, and start my own moss colony basically, with some of the more local moss. Because what's really cool about that is you could do that, and um, basically, once that moss goes to flower and it produces the next generation of moss, that new generation of moss is technically domesticated moss, and it tends to be more resilient. So it's actually made, and it's acclimated to your home situation. And so that second generation is going to grow, and it's going to be used to your kind of average humidity, amount of sunlight, and so forth. And then it's much easier to propagate after you get that second generation, because then, yeah, you're able to set them up like in different, windows of your house, and continue to let them grow. And I had gone down a rabbit hole a few months ago for moss, and there's a lot of people online that literally have just bunch of takeout containers, because apparently they work really well for moss. But like so many, with all these different types of moss, and I got bit by the moss bug, so I I bought that big chunk of moss for like $10, and so I have that, but I really really want to grow a bunch of other types of moss, and experiment with that. And Brian and I also have these they're not flowers, they're not true flowers, but it's a selaginella. And so they're called roses of, I think they're called roses of Jericho. But then they also call them like desert flowers. But it's not really a flower. Basically, it's a plant. It looks dead, and when you hydrate it, so you give it water, it kind of looks like a little tumbleweed, and then it starts to kind of reawaken and kind of reopen. And as it rehydrates, it starts to turn green, and it basically comes back to life. And so, this plant has adapted to living in these areas where it can spend several years without any moisture, and so it basically goes into like a dormancy state. And when it does rain in the desert, and it gets that moisture, it will come back. Um, and then when that rain goes away and it starts to dry, it dries again and closes again. So Brian and I each got one. And so I need to really do a time lapse. Um, and so when we were fixing the office, I was like, oh, I found these again, and I really need to set up a camera and rehydrate them, and see how, because I haven't tried to do it yet. So I've watched the videos. Yes, Suzanne, the resurrection plant. Yes, that's another common name. Really cool, but it is a selaginella. Um, just to show folks what. So you might know selaginella, there you go. So you see these a lot in stores. They are very moisture loving, so they definitely don't like really dry areas. They want humidity and they want moisture. And so uh, I've tried these for some of my terrariums, but um, I think that they start to do okay, but if you let the terrarium dry just a little bit, the selaginella is like the first to crisp up on you, unfortunately. But it is a very cool, very very cool plant. Like even for like my geckos and my frogs that we have in our tanks, um, while of course they appreciate humidity, they don't want it to be wet like all the time. And so I think this is why the selaginella hasn't really taken hold. Um, but it is really beautiful. And here is the Rose of Jericho, or also called the resurrection plant. And so basically you can see it kind of closes up, and when it's rehydrated, it's this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful green. Let me see. Here we go. Yeah, so basically starts to open up, and yeah, and then it comes back to life essentially. Um, so it's super cool. I really want to see this process for myself, and so I think I want to set up like a time lapse camera, um, get some really cool footage, and just watch the process, because I think it takes more than 24 hours if I'm not mistaken. So it will take a little bit. So that's why you want to set up a time lapse, because it's not like a very, in a couple minutes type of thing. So it will slowly reopen and turn this really beautiful shade of green. And so that's something I really want to try. Um, some really cool things that plants do. Yeah, Suzanne, right? It would be really great to watch. So maybe what I can do is I can set up maybe a live a live stream, and another I have like my old iPhone, and so I can maybe set that one up to record. And then because that iPhone had broken, but it's still fine enough, like the camera still works. So I can use that to film the time lapse, and then with my new phone, um do maybe like a live stream, and folks can tune in and check it out in real time if they wanted to. Yeah, so that you can see that happening. But I definitely I wanna set that up. And Diana, I've seen upside down planters for air plants. How do you start an air plant in one of those planters? Ah, great question. So, they're not starting them. So it's basically they're placing them in there because you don't want to put those types of air plants that are hanging upside down. Those are Tillandsia. And so those are not meant to go in soil. And so what upside down pots you're seeing are usually like urchins. I think they use like
Oh,
the
yeah, I've seen the urchins,
uh-huh.
seashells, and other
Yes.
types of pottery too.
Yeah, and they're usually, honestly, they're either held in there with wire, sometimes glue, unfortunately.
Mm.
And sometimes they're just wedged in there. So,
Okay.
which is the better case scenario. So they're just a little wedged in there. And so then they're able to, just have them there. Um, but no, they absolutely are just kind of hanging out. So it's kind of like a holder, but there's no soil in there. However, there are upside down planters. Um, so I have seen like people growing tomato plants upside down. There are also types of tropical plant species as well that folks are growing upside down. And in terms of how those are set up, so basically the plants I believe are started right side up, and then they're um basically transferred into these upside down pots
Okay.
with the substrate. So like the plant is essentially, it's like transplanting it, but they're just putting it upside down.
Mhm.
And then the soil's put on top, but the opening is rather small, so the soil's not falling. It's like just big enough for the plant, and then it will just continue to grow upside down.
Mhm.
So, because I've seen folks do that even with tomatoes, um, and I'm forgetting the name of that plant. It looks like a fuzzy caterpillar. I want to say, is it less lepidodendron or um yeah, I'll look for that.
It must be tricky watering those planters then unless you soak the whole planter and then let it drain out completely. That still must be tricky though, you know?
Yes. And so I do think that when they are watered, that they are taken and then watered kind of like basically like that, where it's either submerged, um, or yeah, you would definitely have to kind of take it and water it very carefully. Because like I would even worry about excess water falling on the leaves, or like soil falling on the leaves.
Mhm.
And having that, yeah, because there's upside down planters. Yes, I've seen them growing for tomatoes. Yeah, and the air plants. What in the world? I think these
Wow.
are, I don't know how these, is that a Dieffenbachia? Mm. Oh, an apothos. That's cool. Oh, wow. Oh, the Santherium. It actually gives it a really cool look. Um, Now I'm thinking I kind of want to try something like
But they would have to hold soil, those other plants though, right?
yes. And so what I'm
Awesome.
wondering is if these pots, I'm wondering if they have a very narrow opening, and so basically you would have to,
Oh,
kind of push the roots through,
yeah.
and you put your substrate, but then it's like narrow enough where nothing is gonna kind of fall through. I'm
Mhm.
wondering if they have a better.
Oh, here you go, Jocelyn.
There we go.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, because that's my worry is watering the plant and then having the substrate fall like go down and then it's hitting like the undersides of the leaves and things like that because then that's going to promote fungal and bacterial growth. So what
Mhm.
I'm thinking is if you have these types of pots, you're probably going to be, taking them off and then kind of putting them right side up to water them. And then once that's properly drained, you then turn it back upside down and hang it up. Logically, that's where my brain is saying that that's how that would be done. Um, because yeah, I just see a couple of potential hazards to having that type of pot, but that's cool with the soda bottles. Um, See, I see that working for something like this, like orchids. I would see something like putting orchid bark or even sphagnum moss
Mhm.
in these for these types of plants because they are, more soilless type of plant.
Mhm.
So I feel it would work really well that way. Maybe even like Hoyas or Dischidias if you have like a soilless mix for them, in which you would just kind of you can take them down, give them a good soak, let it drain out, and then hang them, and they would be perfectly happy. Um, but when it comes to actual soil, so while it is being done, um, the the watering definitely is a big question because I'm wondering how they would avoid getting getting that soil uh to just damage the plant itself. So it looks like here, yeah. Oh, it looks like it's a netted opening here, for
Hmm.
instance. So for the tomato, it looks like they kind of put like a little grid essentially over the opening. And so it's just the stem is grew through, and then it continues to grow. Um, but then nothing is falling out. So the substrate is kind of being retained by that little grid.
Mhm.
So that's what it looks like they're doing for the tomato. So then yeah, then the seeds are being started like right in there.
Hmm.
Or it could have been a seedling and then they would have fed those little roots through while
Hmm.
it was still small enough. Um, but yeah. Oh gosh, there's some I need to think I might just get one just to, and I'll just go. Maybe I like how the anthurium looks in it. So the what they call the flamingo flower. So where'd it go? Here we go. Uh, oh, that's one too. But I really like how this one looks. So I might just do this as an experiment. I might just buy myself one of these pots and then go to Home Depot and pick up a really pretty anthurium and and just try and see and tell you guys how, so how do you care for these upside down plants? Because this would be a really cool experiment. Um, yeah, because that is a good question in terms of watering. I like the concept though.
Hmm.
So for instance, for this, uh, those like that basil looks way too straight to have been growing like that the entire time. So I think that this was just a regular plant, and for the purposes of the photo, they they have it looking like this. But if plants are growing upside down, they will start to, because they want to find gravity. So I think it's called negative geotropism, I think, is when they are moving away from gravity. I think it's when they're moving away from gravity. But see, your plants would look very wonky, so they would start to grow like this. So they want to be upright, and so the plant will start growing down, and then it will kind of correct itself and grow up. So you wouldn't get something like this, where you're seeing that the plants, these were literally regular potted plants that they put in these pots, and then yeah, have them like that. But the plants will try to right themselves. And so yeah, so expect to see that. So like here you can see how they're trying to right themselves. Here's looks like a peperomia, maybe a peperomia cupid. Um, and also so they will grow in a certain way. So for folks that do want to try that, just be warned that they're not going to be growing like perfectly like downward. So for instance, like this looks like a Dracaena and some type of fern. Um, yeah, no, I feel like that Dracaena would indeed start to bend and then would probably start to grow in a very wonky type of fashion, because it's not going to want to stay upside down like that. Um, and especially because it needs to course correct for it to successfully get sunlight as well. Um, but I like some of these photos though. That's very cool. Yeah, and now I might order myself one of these. The same with this palm here that they're showing, like a palm. Um, yeah, I don't think that it would probably start to grow very odd, or the leaves would start to kind of turn and look very very different from what that from what that is showing. Okay, now this is gonna go on my wish list now. I'm gonna I'm gonna have to try that. Um, there we go. Cool. Thanks, Suzanne. So Suzanne says that the opening is slotted to adjust to stem size. That's great. Oh, and that so Suzanne says that they have one, but they haven't used it yet. You hang it and then water it from the top. I want to use a tomato plant, on my patio. Oh, that'd be awesome. Let us know how that goes. Um, yeah, I kind of want to get one of those kits where you can grow tomatoes in the house, right? Have you and I've seen those for the upside down ones. Um, I do kind of want to get one of those kits to have like my own like cherry tomatoes or something growing here. The only thing about tomatoes that I will warn you is that they are prone to mealy bugs if you're growing them indoors. So I've seen that happen for people growing potatoes indoors and people growing tomatoes indoors, that they seem to be mealy magnets. Um, so that I think that's why I've like not grown them out of fear. Um, but I mean, I've dealt with I have Hoyas. None of my plants right now have mealy bugs, thankfully. Thankfully, I'm gonna cross and put that out there. Good energy. None of my plants have mealy bugs right now, but I have had to battle mealy bugs over the years, and so I feel that I probably have enough. I've had enough, experience with kind of contending with them, that I think that I'm in a place where I'm like, I would be willing to try tomato growing indoors. Because if, yeah, worst case, I get some mealies, I know how to deal with them. So it wouldn't be like a crazy, but I would grow them away from my house plants. So I'd have to like probably grow them like on another in another corner of the kitchen, and maybe have them have their own grow light, so that they probably would not be close to the window, because that's all my all the kitchen house plants are right up against like the window. And so I'd probably have it like growing on the opposite side of the room, with its own grow light, and just do it that way. So that they're not near each other at all. But for those of you who might have Hoyas, you might know that struggle, because oh gosh, yeah, they are prone to mealies. Thank you, Suzanne. I hope it stops too. I've been, this has been great for distraction, but it's so itchy. Like I'm very curious how, um, yeah, like this one's really it hurts. This one, it's swollen, but yeah, it's definitely, oh man, it's like burning. Oh, gosh. Yeah, they're, I'm not sure. Ooh, it doesn't pick it up in the camera. It's so hot. It's like, oh, you kind of see it. It's like it almost looks like I have like a sunburn on my arm. Oh, here we go. If I put like shadow, you can actually see the red tone, but for some reason the camera isn't like picking up. But it's so hot to the touch. Oh my gosh. And I can feel it. It feels like I have a ball under my skin. So they do one here and then they do one here. So it's like it ends up being this whole like section of my arm. I'm like, oh man, and I have to continue going once a week, and I think after a year it starts to go down to like every 2 weeks, and then it starts to go down to like once a month, and then basically that you stick to like once a month, and then the whole process is supposed to last like 4 to 5 years. So yeah. Yes, and yep. I'm I'm doing my best not to scratch. I do the rub. I do the rub. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 'Cause oh man. Um yeah, yeah. Yes, yes. And they should be frozen by now. Because I got back home from the doctor's office just like a few minutes before I hopped on. So I threw those cold packs into the freezer, so they very well should be frozen. So I might leave it off here then, guys, because then I can put some ice on this, and yeah, and deal with it. It feels, um gosh, uh it's, yeah, I I'm trying to think not even chicken pox, because I don't remember having chicken pox. I had it when I was little, but I had, in my 20s I got this rash called pityriasis rosea, and it's like it's caused by a virus, but they're not sure how, but then it's exacerbated by stress. And so um basically I thought I had gotten chickenpox again, and it's different than chickenpox, and I had to go on steroids for that. But I've always had issues with my immune system. Um but it's similar to that. So it's where it's like you want to scratch so bad. And yeah, the last week it wasn't as swollen, but it definitely was very itchy. The week before it was definitely very much swollen. And I think the swelling lasted for 2 days. So now that they're increasing my dose, so they watch. So basically I have to stay after I get my shots, I have to stay there for like an hour because they have to monitor me and make sure I'm okay. And then yeah. And so now I have to like watch and then tell them basically how long the itching and swelling lasted, because then they have to adjust my dose. So this is my reality for a while now. So I'll let you know. Oh no. So since saying yes, that I've had to have injections for over 40 years because I'm so allergic. Oh, actually, come to think of it, it's almost 50 years. Oh man. Yeah, I'm just allergic to so many things as well. And so I just saw that the FDA cleared for like a food allergy um type of injection now. Um, but I have to, yeah, I have to be able to, I think I have to see like another specialist for that. Um, and so I'll find out about that because it's getting a little scary. A lot of foods that I used to eat, I can't eat anymore because they're adding in my allergens. And so I am deathly allergic to coconut. So if any of you, if you ever want to hang out and we go out here in New York City, I can't have anything with coconut in it. And it's getting really scary because coconut oil, right, has become like a really big fad type of thing to use. And so a lot of places where they used to use peanut oil, which I'm also allergic to peanuts, not as much though. I can have like a Reese's cup and I'm fine, but I can't have like more than one. But with like a lot of folks they switched over to coconut oil because they're like, oh, it's safer than peanut, right? So, and I'm like, no, because now I can't eat at a lot of places that I used to, or get certain types of food anymore. And so the idea that there's like a shot for specifically for food allergies, not just environmental allergies but food allergies, I kind of want to try that too. Oh no, Gabby says, what a shame. Coconut is my favorite thing on earth. Oh man, enjoy it. Enjoy it. When I go into my supermarket and they had like the end cap of the aisle and it was like all their coconut products and it was like coconut water, coconut oil, this and that. And I always make the joke when I see that and I tell Brian, I'm like the wall of death. So, so I'm like just, um, it's yeah, it's everywhere. It is everywhere. And even like ice creams. So like the Haagen-Dazs Oreo ice cream, I think it's Haagen-Dazs brand that has that Oreo ice cream. Now it has coconut oil and it didn't used to. So a bunch of stuff I can't have. So I'm like, all right, all right. Uh but yeah, but I'll have to just focus on what I can consume and just enjoy my plants. Let them give me some give me some solace. But thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Deanna. Thank you so much. And yeah, I am seriously. I'm gonna try an upside down planter. So I might just pick one up just to try that. And I think I might just pick up a pineapple and try that as well. Maybe a upside down pineapple. So, but thanks so much for hopping on, just hanging out. I seriously always appreciate when you guys are here and just talking about plants. I really enjoy it. And thank you so much, everyone. And please stay safe. Yes, upside down pineapple for an upside down some pineapple cake. That would be perfection. Yes. So we would do the whole I should have the pineapple, grow a pineapple, and do the whole a whole process of yes, and then let's make the cake. Definitely. But thanks so much, everyone, and please enjoy the rest of your Monday, the rest of your week. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and yeah, happy planting, everyone. Have a good one. Bye for now.